This is a WWAR special bulletin.
Police in Haddonfield have just made the grisly discovery of 3 bodies in the upstairs bedrooms of this house. It appears that the murders took place sometime early this evening. Authorities have confirmed that all 3 of the victims are teenagers, 2 girls and a boy. Police are searching the entire area for a mental patient who escaped last night from the Smiths Grovewarn County Sanitarium. He is now believed to be at large in Haddonfield.
Halloween, everybody. This is the Skeleton Crew. There are 4 days left till Halloween. We wanted to give you some time to enjoy, because everyone's entitled to one good scare. And I'm with the girl who would totally fuck Brian in her friend's parents' bed, Jamie Salmons.
See anything you like.
Yes, please, we need more. Keep holding that sheet down. And we're also with the guy who will not get his ass away from here tonight, Aaron Duncan. What's up, Aaron?
Nothing, man. Oh, I got the Lonnie Lamb, didn't I? Oh, man. Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
That's great.
Oh, nothing, man. Glad to be here, dude. 12 years in the making.
Yeah, season 12 of Skeleton Crew, and here we are. People, you know, it's weird. Like, the old joke is, what hasn't been said about Halloween 1978? You know, every podcast has done it, this, that, the other thing, every video reviewer, whatever. And strangely enough, guess who hasn't? Us. We've never done Halloween 1978 in any real way, shape, or form. I mean, the closest thing we've done is Halloween versus the Rob Zombie remake.
Right. Right. I mean, tons of other podcasts have obviously had... Sorry, I'm chewing. I'm doing my Annie impression. But yeah, I wanted to get in the right mindset for this podcast, so I ran to the store and got candy and like Coca-Cola because I was like, Halloween, I got to figure out.
You rolled a joint.
Yeah, I rolled a joint.
I love it.
You know, other podcasts have obviously done, you know, Halloween things or broke them down, but like one by one, but no other podcast has the Curse of Michael J. and those specialty kind of Halloween episodes. So like, yeah.
Yeah, well, the reason we never did, you know, it's funny, there is a reason we never did a Halloween review. It's because in 2012, one of the first things we did were bump heads with the House of Horror podcast because they randomly attacked us after we did our Friday the 13th retro, and they did the whole, you know, fanboy thing, who wants to hear the fanboys just say everything's great or whatever. So they did a Halloween retrospective, and then we saw out to be above that. And we were like, oh, we're not just going to do a typical Halloween show on Halloween. So we're doing Tom Atkins interviews. We're interviewing the guy who owns the lost footage of Halloween 78. We're going to interview the dude. Who was that one guy who, like, ran the company that released, like, Anchor Bay, dude? Like, he, Justin Beam.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we did a ton of stuff. And then we did the big show, the Halloween Movie Awards, which has never been duplicated in the history of horror podcasts. So that's a pretty cool thing. So we put it out there this year that maybe it's time to finally do this. So on one of the prior shows, I said that we're going to, I think a bare bones show, end of summer, it was called. I said that we're going to put a poll up on the Skeleton Crew group page. And you got to remember, our show has been technically kind of dead in the water since 2017. We basically retired. We've done a special in 18, special in 19, 8 shows in 2020, and then a couple things here and there for 21, and then 2. And then we came back in 2023, kind of a revival of our show. I put it out there and I said, listen, I know that a lot of the people who were around then aren't around now, but I'm going to put a poll up, the first 8 Halloween movies. You guys vote, but we won't even do it unless we get, I think I said like 25 votes. because I was like, if you guys don't even bother voting, I'm not going to put all this effort into this if no one's that into the show anymore. So lo and behold, we got 51 votes.
Wow.
Double what I said, plus one. And Aaron didn't even vote because he's not on Facebook, so it would have been 52.
Yeah.
It looks like none of you want to hear Resurrection. None of you really want to hear Halloween 5. So I think those got 0 each. Halloween 2 only got 3% of the vote. Halloween 6 got 10% of the vote. Halloween 4 got 12% of the vote. Halloween 3 got 26%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Halloween 1 got 40% vote. A lot of people did write to me, and they were saying that they're surprised, they're shocked that people would want to hear this show. They said, why? I'm surprised that people wouldn't rather just hear something different because they feel like everybody's done a show on this movie. So I thought about that too, and I was like, yeah. But I said, I guess we just gotta be aware of this fact and definitely bring our own flavor to this whole thing and definitely discuss things that we just haven't ever heard anybody talk about. And we're going to touch on things other people said. It's going to happen. You could bring up something somebody else said, but you never heard anything I said about it. You never heard anything Aaron said about it. And Jamie, how many times have you reviewed 1978 Halloween?
I don't think I ever have. Maybe years ago, we did the TV version on Evil Episodes. I know we did part 2. I can't swear that we ever did part 1. So I may not have ever done an actual review of this film.
Right.
But hey, Brian and I just did our Friday the 13th retrospective. And everything in the world has been said about that. But I feel like we mined, quite a few interesting viewpoints out of that.
You did.
I mean, you can always find something.
Yeah. Check out Jamie's Friday 13th retro. Horror in the House of Salmons. It was great, except for her part 8 review. It was really good.
Sorry.
But in fairness, I only heard about 8 minutes of that, so.
Yeah, he couldn't even listen to the whole thing.
I was like, yeah, this is killing me. I can't listen to this. Well, let me start off by saying this about Halloween 1978. Why is it simplicity is so striking in this film when everyone today is striving to avoid that in filmmaking since basically the 80s? Everything's bigger, crazy, fantastical. But it's strange because some of the most simplistic films are the ones that people gravitate to the most, with Psycho, Jaws, things where it's just people talking and saying things and walking around and doing very little for most of the film. Why does that affect us so much? And I think it's because it's a reflection of most of us on our daily lives. Like, most people's lives aren't as eventful as most anything we see on TV, whether it be sitcoms like Married with Children, or cartoons like The Simpsons, or soap operas like 90210. Like, we don't have lives that are that eventful. I think the thing is, we need escapism. That's needed. We long to peek in the keyhole and see what's going down in the clubhouse of the Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club. Like, we need that adrenaline rush that we'll never get in our daily lives. I think what makes Halloween amazing is that Halloween gives us all of this. It's a reflection of our own lives with our own friends, and you're in a front row seat in like a haunted house car on those tracks that take you through the haunted house. And it takes you right through the terror. And I think that's what strikes people the most. You get the reflection of you and the adrenaline you seek.
Yeah.
Relatability. I think that's a big thing. Is if you find someone you can connect with in a film that it's like, how many times do you watch movies and go, oh, I know that guy? Not that guy, but that guy.
Right.
And so when you can connect with something on a personal level, I think it speaks to you even more. And the beauty of something like Halloween is that, we've all, most of us anyway, have carved a jack-o'-lantern in our life or tried to scare other people or gone trick-or-treating. So it's things that, made popcorn, spilled butter all over ourselves, walked out half naked to the laundry room that's in the backyard. We've all...
Oh, I've done that like 3 times this week. Yeah.
But it's, they feel like real people. And I think Deborah Hill, who she did the dialogue for the teenage girls, I think she played a huge part in making them feel realistic versus, say those same characters in the Rob Zombie films. Particularly the first one, I hate them all.
All wrong. Isn't that amazing? They had the greatest blueprint to copy it here, more or less, and they went completely wrong. I think Rob Zombie thought he was writing what teenagers are like today, but that's like obnoxious teenagers.
Dude, do you... exactly. I'm like, do you know anybody who's not an asshole? I know.
So what do you think, Aaron? What do you think strikes everybody so much about the simplicity?
It's funny because I think it's a thing of... when you talk about the simplicity, is it's very easy to feel lived in it as long as you're not, getting into your phone or this or that. I remember seeing this movie in the theater with a friend of mine who had seen it a zillion times a couple of years ago, and it was playing at one of our local theaters. We're like, we'll go see it. And we seen it, and when all you had was the darkness around you and to concentrate on the movie itself, you feel so much more like you're living in it. And, being in the kind of Midwest, kind of like we are, town and all that stuff, it just rings true. It feels, the atmospheric part's so realistic. And I think they were so clever in the way that I think it was one of the producers or something. I heard them say that so much of the movie was theater of the mind, and you kind of see things that aren't there. With the lack of blood. I think it's kind of the same concept for you being able to put yourself in the movie or feel like you kind of live there because your mind can take you to that place. The relatability is so much there because the slate is so blank.
Right. Yeah. They make the most out of very little. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing because it's like Jamie said, I can't relate to any of those people in the Rob Zombie Halloween movie. Not one of them.
Right. No. It's weird.
No.
Maybe Dee Wallace. She's the only one who seems like a real person to me, and of course she doesn't make it very far.
Yeah, and we don't mean to make this like a this versus that thing. It's just that it was a great example to juxtapose the dialogue between the girls in this movie and that. But you can really do that with anything. Take any generic 80s slasher and check out the dialogue in all of them. It's just not like this.
Do you know the one part that takes me out of this movie so bad? The one piece of dialogue? I've told you this before, Alex. I know I have. So, and I say this as this being in my favorite movie of all time. This is in my top 3. But for some reason, it's the most cringy after-school special moment to me in the world. Laurie's walking by herself or
I know
someone's scared. Yeah. And she has a weird moment where she talks to herself and she's like, "Well, kiddo, I thought you outgrew superstitions." And then kind of shakes her head and does this cheesy walk away thing. And I'm like,
trick or treat! Trick or treat!
Well, kiddo, I thought you outgrew superstition.
do people do that? Talk like that to them? I can understand talking your inner voice and all that stuff, but she actually
says it out loud.
Yeah. And it's such a weird feeling because I was like, who did that? Who wrote that?
It's a movie thing for sure, Yeah.
I also have never gotten that. I don't get it. What is she talking about? What superstition? Yes, there were trick-or-treaters that she was looking at, but what superstition was she supposed to have outgrown?
Well, I think I could tell you, because I was going to get into this. So listen, we're going to jump around. This is not a movie that you need a walkthrough on. If you do, just turn this fucking show off, because you need to rewatch this 50 more times, I guess. One of the things I wanted to bring up, because when my wife was watching this with me this time around, Laurie saw Michael while she was in school. She saw Michael by the hedges. She saw Michael in the car when he hit the brakes and all that. She saw Michael at the clothesline. Well, actually, she saw those other three. So I said to my wife, what state of mind would you be in right now if you were Laurie? And she said, oh, I'd be totally paranoid and I wouldn't be alone. That's for sure. I'd call my dad. I'd call you. I'd call or just my girlfriends, whatever. I would not be comfortable being alone after seeing that image gazing at me in three different places, especially the car one where he hit the brakes and just stood there in that eerie moment. It's baffling to us that Laurie is in such a calm and collected state of mind by the time she's at the Wallace house. But I guess when she said the superstition thing, she should be scared at that point, correct? I mean, she's been through all that already and all those spooky moments, and then she heard that noise and was like, oh, God, is that guy following me? Is he killing somebody right now? Is that what I'm listening to? And then he's going to come for me. And then she saw it was just kids like, ugh, boy, I thought you outgrew superstition. So that's what I'm guessing she meant by that.
Okay. I mean,
you know?
I never knew that. I never put that together, so you're kind of blowing my mind here. I've watched this movie a lot. I just wish she would have seen it and been like, fuck, Laurie, or something like that. Okay, but it was just the well, kiddo,
right.
That got.
Yeah,
well,
I have never referred to myself as kiddo.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That part's just weird. If I could sometimes I think about making my perfect versions of movies and just editing parts out, and that would be the part I edit out of this. Other than that, nothing.
I get it. And I guess to wrap up my thing with my wife, so she sees him again at the clothesline, and somehow she's okay.
Just calm down. This is ridiculous.
She's not even in the least bit worried. She's hanging out, watching TV, making jack-o'-lanterns, making popcorn. Why is she okay at that point? And I think my wife pretty much hit it on the head. She goes, well, didn't she get high on the way to the house? I was like, yeah, okay. Well, there you go. So if you want to know why Laurie is not in a heightened state of panic by that point, you could just say she smoked a doob on the way there.
Yeah, she was like, oh, cool, jack-o'-lanterns and motherfucking, yeah.
And she was thinking about dudes the whole ride there with Ben Tramer. She was scared of the dad smelling the pot in the car, so her mind already has left Michael and all that kind of stuff, and she's already concerned with these in-the-moment type things, you know? So why make Michael a killer as a kid? What do you think that means or meant to the movie and the character? He could have just been an escaped mental patient. Him killing his sister had nothing to do with what he did with these girls. What do you think it means to the movie and to the character? And what do you think it means to Haddonfield? When the kids are like, you can't go in there, that's a spook house, and Lonnie Lamb's and his friends, he's gonna get you, the boogeyman is coming. Are they referring to Michael and what he did 15 years ago? And if so, how come they don't refer to him as a child murderer or anything? I know, are they really processing that he should be 21 now? I mean, isn't it more like a ghostly thing? Wouldn't it be the kid who killed his sister forever? And are they referring to him?
I never thought when they were saying the boogeyman is coming or anything like that they were referring to Michael Myers. I just think in the world of Halloween and Haddonfield and all that stuff, that was one of those Halloween wise tales or superstitions and all that stuff. Oh, hey, the boogeyman. And that Michael Myers happened to live up to the title. I would love to have some Dr. Lumis psychology about why killing the sister was this jarring thing. And if I make sense about it in real time in my head, I just think they were that's a hell of an opening. And that's a hell of an opening. And we'll have a killer thing and all that stuff, but they wanted to make Michael something that fixated on someone and was like a killer shark. You know what I mean? And he was going to kill whoever was in front of him. And in this instance, it happened to be his sister. And I'm sure there's like deeper people that say, well, he was killing them for having sex and this and that and so on and so forth. But I think he was just killing whoever was in his line of sight. And it didn't matter if it was his sister or his brother or this or that or...
Do you think that takes away from the character or adds to it? Like, because now we have to contemplate, well, what flipped at 6 years old on Halloween night to make this happen, as opposed to this crazy dude who's always been mentally unstable? Because now we have to imagine he was a normal kid.
I think when I imagine that he's a normal kid, I think it adds to the entire thing. Yes. But it takes away from it when you start over-explaining it, or... oh, he was his, it was his sister or his sister's brother or their dog and all that stuff. But I think it's that same theater of the mind concept when the movie's over and I say, man, that's crazy that they did that. Like, or why did he do that? Why? Because like so many times when you hear of someone doing something fucked up or something stupid or someone killing someone, the question is always why? And you never get an explanation. And I liked that about this movie. And
you liked that he did it as a child without an explanation.
Yes.
Yes. That makes him scarier because you have no idea what's going on in his little brain and what caused him to suddenly just go off his nut. And it starts making you think about the people around you. I mean, not in a necessarily a practical way. I don't go around and think, oh my God, Brian's going to flip his shit and kill me
one day. Yeah.
But it can make you think like we don't have a reason for this. He never exhibited any proclivities for killing anyone prior to this. It just came out of nowhere. That's terrifying, which that's one of the things that I don't like about the fact that, they did the whole sister thing, right? Because I think that takes away some of the mystery.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I love the fact that the reason he got fixated on Laurie is because she came to his house. He saw her. And he's like, oh, all right. And I think they did it right in Halloween 2018 when they have him just walking down the sidewalk, veering off this way, randomly killing somebody over here, going through the neighborhood. That's my favorite part of that movie because I think that really describes who he is.
It exhibits that there's no rhyme or reason because
exactly.
What is he accomplishing during that stroll?
Nothing. He's just killing. He doesn't have a motive. He doesn't need one. He just needs to kill. And I always describe him as, in that film in particular, but just in general, I describe Michael Myers as like a bug that you trap under a glass. And it's just going to keep trying to walk. And then you lift up the glass and it keeps walking. And then you trap it again and it'll just keep on walking when you lift up the glass. That's him. They paused him. They made him stop when they put him in the asylum. Right. And then when he got out, he just kept going, just kept doing what he was doing. And that's, to me, that's what makes him scary.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask you guys, what do you think Michael kills for? Like, is it the same reason other serial killers kill? Like, Dahmer or Gacy or whatever, like, is there a satisfaction he gets? Is there a rewarding feeling? Does he know why he's doing this? Do you think he's almost like Aaron's one of his favorites, Terminator? Do you think he's just set in motion and he will not stop until you are dead? But even though, does he know why he's doing this? Is there a goal? Is there a reason that them being alive is some type of problem for him? Like, is it any kind of conscious thing? Or do you think he's who is just for some reason, like, evil on two legs, like Lumis says?
In whatever his psyche is, it's Halloween pranks, more or less, because they all tie into each other. It's like, oh, this is a thing where I'm gonna, do this person. And it's like a work of art almost for him, like the way he kind of like head tilt and this and that, and the way he sets bodies up.
He's admiring his work.
It's like hanging a Halloween decoration and seeing, yeah, it looks good. Like, that's what he did to Bob.
Yeah.
Yes. David Gordon Green did that right too when he had him actually make, like the guy in the kitchen with the knives, you know, when he's just plunging the knives in, just every single knife that he can find, he's just plunging them in. It's like he is creating art. And maybe you can compare that to a serial killer, except people like Gacy, they get a different kind of satisfaction out of it. Like him particularly, it was a sexual thing. A lot of times it is. You don't ever get that from Michael. He's a blank slate. He doesn't have a sexuality. He just is. And so I don't know that he actually like gets joy out of doing it, but it's almost like I don't know. There's almost like an innocence.
A childlike thing. Yeah.
Yes, like a curiosity. And when he does the little head tilt, which I believe, I want to say that wasn't in the script and he just did it. And then they were like, oh my God, that's good. If that's correct, then that was a really good instinct to do that, because it does give him this childlike quality of curiosity.
And wonderment.
And exactly. And I think really that's what he does. Even
you could tie that to him looking at his own hand while he's stabbing Judith. We all know it's really just John Carpenter saying, well, I want to show that in the movie. But,
right.
But let's keep this in the movie. And you can say that his fascination with his own work on Bob, you can tie that into his fascination with looking at his own hand wielding the knife that's murdering his sister. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. There's some fascination that he has to see this knife enter and exit and enter and exit. You know, like, there is that childlike thing.
Well, and if there's any of the real child of Michael Myers in there, then maybe he is actually wondering or saying to himself, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Right.
When it showed him with the knife when he was a kid, like after like he murdered his sister, it seemed like it was like I said, just blank and this and that, and like it was just part of his purpose, so to speak. Like I'll tell you, to tap into that a little bit. So my girlfriend, she's a court deferment worker for juveniles, and so like she'll basically, if the long and short of it is, if someone commits a crime, like part in the state of Kentucky, part of their like what would be Miranda rights to us is they have to go through her office first to determine if they're, you know, if they should go to court, but it doesn't matter what they do. Like it could be anything from like some kids, you know, stealing some stuff from a store all the way down to like straight up murder. And like some of the juveniles like she deals with that I've heard about, it's just like, oh, that's just pure evil. Like you just hear about it and you're like, wow, this is like Michael Myers kind of stuff. And you kind of wonder like what would be in of that. So it's like when I think about that in that sense, I kind of wonder like how well they tapped into that of someone doing this as a kid and like what would they transition to be as an adult? But obviously he becomes an immovable force. Right.
Well, like, do you ever watch like true crime stuff about children who murder? And it is pretty much a constant that when they ask them, like if the police are talking to them or they're in court and they'll say, you know, why did you do this? The majority of the time it's, I don't know. I don't know. Now, of course, that's a kid's answer for everything, but they don't really seem to, I don't know. It just seemed like a good idea.
They hardly show remorse to it either.
Yeah, they don't. And so it's like it comes off, pure evil. You know, if you see like a 9-year-old that strangles and stabs a 3-year-old, how else would you describe that?
Oh, yeah.
But pure evil, you know?
Yeah, so we can't really pinpoint, you know, like on Bare Bones, the one I did end of summer, I wanted to get into Halloween a little bit as like a preamp kind of thing. So I joked around about like the motive of Michael to kill his sister, and I made up this whole scenario where Michael came home from trick-or-treating, the boyfriend pulled his mask off and snapped it back into his face, and it fell on the ground, and he was like, whatever, and the sister didn't come to his defense and he just ran out, and then he looked in and he saw the kid pick up his mask, and you see no remorse there, and they went upstairs, and then he got that something tripped in him to do that, and he went up there, and then he was so shocked that the guy came down so quickly, he wasn't expecting that. He was like, damn, I thought you were going to be up there longer. So I
think his sister was shocked too.
So Michael was taken back by it, like, oh, and he didn't act on it. But then when the guy left, his sister was still up there. She didn't defend him when he did that to Michael, and then he went up and killed her. And I made that whole joke scenario, but obviously I was just being playful. I don't really think it's that simple as to what happened. And if it was the case, then he wouldn't just continue to kill random people for dropping keys off at his house. But there are still more things to discuss, as like, where do you think Michael's sense of humor comes from? The humor of the fun house he set up at the end, even making himself one of the exhibits that comes out of a dark closet and attacks. He could have just attacked Lori when she went in the bedroom. He could have just come up the stairs and went at her. But instead, he wanted to come out just like one of the props he set up. Where does he get the humor for the glasses on a sheet to play Bob and have her think that and have her interact with him instead of just walking in, leaping onto the bed, choking her, and stabbing her 5 times? Like, so many strange things that he did. Setting up the tombstone, everything. He thinks way more than we want to think he does. I think a lot of people kind of like, when they think of Michael, they really put those things to the wayside because they don't want to think of that. People don't want to think of those things when they think of Michael. They love him. They love how he looks. They love his music. They love his atmosphere in his movie. But a lot of people don't want to consider those things when they think of Michael. They want to just kind of forget about it. It's a weird dynamic. Nobody wants to say, yeah, he's the greatest. Look how he tore shit up in Haddonfield, and then how he set that room and freaked Lori out and had all this stuff ready and Bob swinging down. You know how much effort it takes to do all that? This guy's a mastermind and all this other stuff, and he set it up. He was so calculated. The way he just stared at Lori in the classroom, like, you know that effort it would take to look through every window until you finally see the girl that dropped the key off at your house, and then you could take a step back and stare at her from a distance? Do you know, like, the effort it takes to do everything he did? Like, but I think people dismiss that. They don't want to think of that. It's kind of like a part of his character that nobody wants to confront or embrace. They're glad it's all there, but nobody wants to address it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he is very high effort, for sure.
Yeah, he puts a lot of, and he seemingly puts a lot of thought into it, like with you mentioned the tombstone and the setting up of the bodies and stuff. And, well, this year for Halloween, our theme for movie watching is Satanic Panic. So I've been watching devil movies all month. And we then, of course, do a show about our Halloween specials where we talk about the movies we watch for Halloween. And we just talked about Omen 3. When we were talking about that, Brian brought up that a lot of the deaths in that film, and actually I think in all of them, are sort of like Rube Goldberg machines, kind of, but not totally to the extent of, but kind of like Final Destination. And that you'll just see little things go, moving into place and being where they need to be to kill somebody. And I was like, well, my response to him was, well, the devil likes to have fun, but there is a bit of mischief in that, in the way that we frequently see the devil portrayed. There is a bit of mischief. There's some tongue in cheek. There's some sly, like Al Pacino when he played the devil. He had that in there. Robert De Niro, any of the big people who have played devils, there's a little bit of mischief. I don't even know a better word. I kind of feel like Yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, I mean, if he's pure evil, I think there's going to be a little bit of that in there.
Thinking about it, I guess it's fair to think that Michael would have this really well planned and well orchestrated. He has 364 days to come up with this stuff.
That's true.
Well, here's another topic. We could get away from the fun house and the flower pots he drops and everything else he does and all this stuff, and we can get to...
He thought about that November 3rd.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to drop some flower pots next year.
Why Halloween night? Both times. What made him kill his sister on Halloween night? What made them think it would be a great idea to transport him on Halloween night?
Again and again.
Well, that's when the veil is the thinnest, right? You know, the veil between worlds. So if he is influenced by something, some force somewhere, then that to me would make sense.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I think we could safely say that, although, trust me, I'm not going with the Cult of Thorn here. I think it's safe to say that there was an implication to a method of madness that it's always Halloween night. It couldn't just be a coincidence, obviously. I mean, why do both things on Halloween night? He could have killed his sister any night of the week, and then on Halloween, that's when the movie takes place. To mirror both of these events that way is an entirely different implication. It's no longer just, oh, we wanted to name the movie Halloween. Because like I said, you could have done that the night he escaped, and it would be Halloween. It's not always the day, the entire run of the movie, which it wasn't here. And the house, why has it not been lived in since it happened? Like, why is that house even there anymore? It's useless. Imagine owning this property for 15 years and no one's buying it. Like, get rid of this thing. Like, what is it even doing there?
I mean, but most neighborhoods have one of those houses, you know, or at least if your neighborhood didn't, you probably had a friend who had one. We had one in my neighborhood that was creepy and empty, and it was huge, and we have no idea. We never knew why it was empty or who had ever lived there or if anything had ever happened there. But one day I was walking my dog, and she just ripped the leash out of my hand and ran up the driveway to that house into the backyard. And she's barking ferociously. And then like 2 seconds later, she comes running, just hauling ass down the driveway. And she starts running home. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going with her, you know. And then I started running. And then I was running faster than the dog. I actually stopped and scooped her up and kept going.
That's great.
I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm running from, but if my dog is running...
I would have dropped the leash and go, good luck.
But, you know, we have those houses, those spooky houses, or like in the Monster Squad, there's scary German guy, or, you know, it's when you're kids... You can attach mythology to anything. Yeah,
no, and that's another thing, like you're saying, that's what we were going for before, simplicity and relatability. Like, we talked about how what they kind of did in the whole first half of the movie is kind of what we do on our daily life. And you just said one of the aspects of our daily life is we all have that house in our town, you know, and there you go.
Yeah.
So the tombstone thing, you know, it's always the big joke. How on earth did he get this thing? Because he didn't dig it out. It's clearly lifted straight up. Now, these things weigh hundreds of pounds. The one thing people like to cite about this movie is that it's not Halloween 4 and 5 and 6 where Michael has this unbelievable strength and he's just like crushing your head in part 4 and all that stuff and all these things that are just, you know, it's the Jason effect basically. So what they like about this is that it's like real Michael. But then you got this. So what was John Carpenter thinking when he thought it? Like, how random, right? Anyway, to do. How would Michael even know to go to this cemetery? How would he know where she's buried? or maybe they forced him to go to it just to confront what he's done, so he knew where that cemetery was. Maybe they brought him there as a kid.
Well, how did he know how to find his way home from from the hospital? Now, he obviously no one there is really going to give him driving lessons, and even if they did, it's not like he had GPS. So, Do
you think he asked for directions? He asked that trucker guy for directions, and then killed him and took his.
The Phelps garage guy. He asked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A person would say this is supernatural. It's instinct. It's all instinct. And that's one thing I was kind of like, in my defense of Halloween Ends, like a lot of the supernatural stuff that goes on there, I was saying, you can't say it didn't happen here. This is all Lumis talks about. All he talks about is that Michael is supernatural. This isn't a man.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Everything he said, and thank God for Sheriff Brackett, right? I mean, thank God he has someone to to pour all this onto, right? We would miss out on so much Lumisisms without Sheriff Brackett to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
It's like something to, like, what do you do? Like Lori talking to herself, K kiddo superstition. Like, is that all Lumis is going to do? Stand there and be like, yeah, man, I remember this kid staring at the wall, looking past the wall. Man, that was crazy. Oh, boy, I've been standing here a long time. Is he going to show up at his house? Anyway, yeah, so he has the darkest eyes. The devil's eyes, really. Like, what else would he do?
I like how Brackett slowly turns on him as the movie gets more frustrated. By the end of the movie, it seems like he's not taking him serious for the first couple parts of it.
Right.
Then by the time he's sick of dealing with Lumis, he's like, if what you're saying is true, damn you for letting him go.
Right. What do you think of the dynamic of Brackett and Lumis? It's like the B plot, right? I mean, the A plot is Lori and her friends. The B plot is Lumis is one step behind all the time.
I kind of wondered why they listened to him when he was like,
what do we do? He's been here once tonight. I think he'll come back. I'm going to wait for him.
I still think I should notify the radio and television.
No. If you do that, they'll see him in every street corner. They'll look for him in every house. Just tell your men to keep their mouths shut and their eyes open.
I'll check back in an hour.
I understand not wanting to cause a panic, but it's like...
Well, he told his men to keep their eyes open and their mouths shut. So they knew.
True. I mean, yeah, I guess, because, I guess if you're thinking when it is announced that happened, you get what happened in, Halloween Kills. And then, yeah. So, yep, I'm wrong.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And you get that in Halloween, too, when they were throwing rocks at the Myers house.
Yep, and Halloween 4 with the... Earl, whatever his name is, that gets shot. You shot Earl, or no, wait a minute.
Ted Hollister. Just think, none of those guys went home that night. Like, they all left the bar, and that's the last time you'd ever see any of them.
They don't.
And I wonder if they paid their tab before they left.
I wonder if that woman kept an eye on the register, even through when he was getting murdered. What do you think of the kills of this movie? The kills seem to be nothing flashy. They're almost secondary. I mean, most of the time, it's not very grandiose. There's literally 2 chokings, 2 stabbings, 1 off-screen throat slit, and Lori gets an attempted murder with a stabbing and choking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more or less bloodless.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that adds
like I said earlier, it's about kind of what you think you saw, what you're picturing in your head, or how much it's kind of like when you don't see all the stabs up close or the blood or this or that, you're picturing it. And I feel like what you picture is always going to be far worse than what they could make happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it was very clever the way they did that with the kills. And, I don't know necessarily if they were just like, well, this is kind of how we do it at this time and all that stuff, because obviously it was pre like crazy slasher craze. So it just worked. I don't know. I think people thought more back then. So it wasn't as dumbed down now to where it's like everything's served to you on a silver platter as far as like kills go and things of that nature.
And the crazier, the better. And I mean, also it could have been budget.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah. I mean, I think that they were doing with what they could, and there's probably people that seen this movie in the theater like when it was new. And, the movie's so darkly lit and a lot of the kills happen in the shadows that they definitely were like, man, did you see that?
Yeah, they saw more in their minds. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
People come out of Texas Chainsaw, or even if they've never seen it, they just assume that it's gory. And, then when they watch it, they're like, oh, that wasn't that gory at all. Well, yeah, nobody told you it was. You made that assumption.
Well, also you look at the chick at the end in the back of the pickup.
Well, yeah, and she's covered in blood and she looks like hell. But yeah, that's another thing I like about that film too, is I like the subtlety of it. The only kill that I don't like in Halloween, and it's not even that I don't like it on the whole, it's just that face that Annie makes in the car. And then she's just like, it reminds me of Samantha from Friday 4 in the raft. And I'm like, and the problem with that is it pulls me out every time. Because, and it's, I'm not saying it's not realistic. If someone was killing me, I don't even have any idea what the hell my face would be doing. Probably something. Cool. Yeah, right. Probably something worse than that. But it just pulls me out every time because it's so, I don't know. It's like she's like licking the window and you're like,
She wanted to make sure her last appearance was always like her looking dumb or blinking or whatever.
Yeah, right. She has to blink the next time they show her. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, why didn't John Carpenter do another take? And like, okay, so we're going to choose the wide-eyed look, or are we going to go with where she was exhausted looking? Or are we going to go where she looks like she's in pain? Like, did he have multiple takes of this? I gotta know.
I would assume he did not have multiple takes, that he took a lot of this stuff and was like, good enough. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And like, all
right, we got it. Check the gate.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, budget and film is expensive.
Oh, yeah. And he used let's talk about the production of this movie. So he used the greatest film stock available. I think Kodak at the time. Like, he felt the way to make this $320,000 movie look like $1 million is he says it's all in the lighting and the film and the sound. Now the sound wasn't particularly amazing or anything. A lot of it sounded sound stagey, like boxy, like even the dad in the beginning, like Michael. Like you could tell he was not standing outside when he said that.
Yeah, that was clearly ADR. Right. And I think he was right, because good filmmaking can elevate even the dumbest piece of crap.
Yeah.
And bad filmmaking can kill a really good story.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think he did the right thing. I'm glad he took it that seriously and gave it that much care.
Alex, you were asking something about the kills earlier. And I know this is something we're going to tap into. But I think what makes the kills so brutal and makes it seem so much more than what it is not only the anticipation of before it happens when you know something's going to happen, but the cues of musical notes that happen when a kill strikes. makes it seem more brutal than it is. I'm not talking about the music overall,
Right.
but I'm talking about
Just a
like,
dong.
Oh yeah,
exactly. It's the cues that happen when something like that happens. Like, so once again, not tapping into the music overall, but just those little cues and those subtleties make you feel those stabs.
Yeah.
Like in Halloween 2, it's the.
It sounds like.
But yeah, if you are in another room, if you've seen this movie as much as all of us have, and you can be in another room and you hear a cue and you know exactly what's going on in that movie.
Poor Bob.
Yeah.
We're pathetic for sure. Trust me. Listen, when I watched Scream 6 and as soon as they walked into that dude's apartment, and I'm not comparing Jason Takes Manhattan to Halloween, but when he walked into that apartment, within seconds, I knew what was on their TV. Like, that's how. So if I could figure that out from just a few sounds and noises for Jason Takes Manhattan, then you could bet your ass I know everyone who's dying in this movie.
I did the same thing in the theater. I turned to Brian and I was like, "That's Jason Takes Manhattan."
Oh wow. We're losers. Yep, for sure. But I know you weren't exactly going there, but let's go there. Let's the music. That's the other thing. So, like I said in the beginning, they made the most out of very little. And I think the way they did that the most was through the music. I mean, good God. Laurie just walking across the street to the Wallace house is two different planets of things when it's in silence and just wind and leaves compared to that theme while she's walking. Those cold piano keys. You could talk about the music and say everything everybody else said, but I think when people think, what's the greatest horror movie of all time, and they say Halloween, they're thinking of that music. That's in one of the forefronts of the backs of their minds when they say that statement. And they say this is the greatest horror movie of all time. Something about the music, not only does it sound good, it's cool, it's recorded well, it fits, it seems to fit, it marries the screen so amazingly. It really just works with Michael's look. It works with the word Haddonfield. It works with the look of Haddonfield. It works at night. It works during the day. It works with those characters. There's just something about it. I think what's so striking is that it almost couldn't not coexist. It's almost like it's one. It's one in such a way that it would be a crime if there was any other music in this film.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, you know how often I'll be sitting at my desk? It can be, August, July, I don't know, May. And it has nothing to do with Halloween. I'm not thinking about Halloween, nothing. But I'll just be working away at my desk, and then I'll catch myself going, dun, 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 dun. And it's always the same part. I always do the dun, 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 dun. Yeah, always. And then I'll just catch myself doing that. I'm like, oh. But it just kind of worms its way in. But think about all the successful scores. The Jaws theme, super simple. The Omen, now it's a little more complicated, but mainly it just boils down to, the Dominus. Rosemary's Baby is just like a la la la. It's very simple, but creepy as fuck. And so I think when it is that simple, it can be that much more effective. Because one, you're not being, whatever's going on screen is not being drowned out by some bombastic, crazy score. It's not Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right. Or Friday the 13th Part 6 when Tommy's running through the graveyard.
Yeah.
Listen, that fit that. I'm not saying it didn't fit it. But yeah, there's something about the fact that it doesn't draw any of your focus away from the screen.
I think too, like something about like the music and like just the main theme alone. I was gonna say this, how like how you guys said it will invoke things in you. Like even when I think of the color orange, like I think of that song. Like if someone was like, show me a song that you associate with the color orange, like it would be that, like orange and black. When I think of orange and black, I think of the Halloween theme. But I think where Carpenter's genius, and this is hard for like musicians, is when you can make something on a technical level as complicated be memorable and all that, and like and sort of the uneasy thing. Because I think I remember one of the interviews I'd seen with John Carpenter, he was saying his dad, was the
bongo player.
Yeah, musician, and he taught him 5/4 time, which is kind of an odd time measure. And so a person remembering that time measure, just those beats, would be a little bit uneasy because most music is done in like 4/4 or 3/4, something that's very simple to clap along to. Whereas like the Halloween theme, I think that being in that time measure alone gives it like its own unease, but it's so catchy that it's like memorable, which is kind of even weirder. Like there's very few times where like a song can like that is in those weird time measures becomes like that memorable and that much of a hit. Like I think like the Alice in Chains song "Them Bones," I think is in 7/8 time, and that song is very cool and very catchy. But it's very cool, very catchy. Love it, but it's uneasy if you try to count to it. Like it's like it's a very uneasy song for people to listen to, but that's what makes you drawn to it because and it's the same concept with the Halloween music and a lot of the music in this movie. Like he was such a genius at making the music, and it's like you said, they just meld together on the screen. It's just unreal.
Well, I think too, it helps that he scored his own films. For the most part, except for the Morricone score from The Thing, which actually just sounds like more John Carpenter, but he knew what mood he was going for. He knew what he wanted to happen at what particular time in the film, where he wanted people's emotions to be, how he wanted it to affect them. So when you have the person who not only wrote the film, but directed the film and created the score, it's going to be a perfect marriage if they're good at what they do. And he clearly is. And he knows that to have a successful score, particularly for horror films, because I think that they're the films in which the score really matters the most. I could be biased, but I truly believe that. I mean, I think if you're watching a romantic comedy, it doesn't really matter what the score is. Like who's paying attention to that? But
you're trying to evoke something from people. It does matter.
Yes, it absolutely matters, but he knows how to do it in a way that is so subtle, it creeps its way into your brain without you even realizing it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, another one that does that is The Devil's Candy. And it's not even just the score necessarily, it's the sound design altogether. That there's this like ominous, this growling. Yeah, I fucking love that movie. There's this. Have you ever seen it, Aaron?
I have not.
Oh my God, do because
there's a guy wearing a Metallica shirt in that movie.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is pretty much based around metal in it to a degree, but metal is not the bad thing. Metal is actually the good thing in this film. Like it's not. It doesn't cause what's happening. Like in a lot of movies, they try to portray metal as evil or whatever, like Trick or Treat, something like that.
Yeah. Sammy Kerr, man.
In this one, the guy uses metal to try to push the evil away. I don't know. It's fucking great. It's just fucking great. I absolutely love it.
Aaron, you know how he pushes the guy away? He keeps playing Saint Anger over and over.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Metallica. I love you.
No, we all do. But dude, it's funny because I've always wondered this. For me, and I love John Carpenter, I feel like this is his best film, and here's why. I feel like he had all the talent in the world. He had this and that, but I feel like he was so young and so hungry, not that he was going to be a yes man, but that he pretty much was like, I'm going to do everything on this film for whatever they offer me. So that including the directing, the score, the writing, the this and that. And if you notice, after that, it wasn't the same. You know what I'm saying? Like when he got more money, more opportunities, like, dude, he made magic with nothing. You know what I'm saying? With almost nothing. And like, think about all those things like combined. And it had to be that he was a genius that was hungry at the time. Like, yeah.
Some people even like take umbrage that he put his name above the title when there's so many people who worked on this film. But, you know, in reality, though,
it's his fucking movie.
Oh, it's his movie. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Can you imagine being that much of a Swiss Army knife? Like, of just being able to do that many things?
But he knows how to do it. He knows what he's doing. Even something as far back, which is my favorite John Carpenter film, is Assault on Precinct 13. And I love the music for that.
Do you know that that's the only reason Lumis even did Halloween? That his daughter loved the music to Assault Precinct 13?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, that's why he did Halloween.
Huh. How about that? No, I didn't either.
She goes, "Oh, I know him. Yeah, he did that movie. The music's really amazing. You should do this movie." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And that's why he was Lumis.
Who knew what he was getting in for?
That's true. 6 movies later.
He's like,
and he has a Cocoa Puff on his face.
Yeah. Looked like he was related to Lemmy.
No, he needs 4 more, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me Lemmy never had enough money to get rid of that thing.
I know. That always bothers me, that people don't do this. That is insane.
No, Molly Russell's wart.
Yeah, Molly Russell's wart. Here's a quarter. Have a rat and all that thing off your face. The motivation of Michael is always a curiosity here, right? Like, even though we're not going to figure it out, we could speculate on why did Michael not kill Annie in the laundry room. There's so many strange questions. Like, people always joke that when he was at his house, when Laurie walked away singing that song, why didn't he just walk up to her and choke her out? And I think the reason there is because the fixation kind of just started there. I don't think he knew he was going to kill Laurie at the time. I just think he was fixated, and I think the only way he knows how to purge fixations is through murder. I think that's his only way to connect with people. People, a lot of times, they think of a knife as like a phallic object and stuff like that, but in the reality, it is really his only connection with other people, right? I mean, as morbid as that sounds, like, what else does he know how to do, seemingly, right? I mean, not to this point. He's lived his whole life as a 6-year-old being, from what we could assume, normal. I mean, his parents seemed surprised enough at the prospect that he had a knife in his hand and there's blood all over it. So, Michael?
Oh my God, you sounded just like him.
Yeah, that was amazing. Do that again.
Michael?
That is so perfect.
Hold on, I want to hear what his father said next. Go.
Michael? What are you doing? Whose blood is that? I don't know. What the hell does he say next, right? Like, what the fuck are you doing with a knife in your hand, bro?
Now I know.
Where's your sister? Yeah, now you know. The thing you always wondered, what do they say next? And what did the mom say, standing there like a fucking dummy? She's just standing there with that stupid look on her face. They couldn't even get somebody to actually emote. Like, they just got some dumb broad who just stood there.
With her hands in her pocket.
Right.
Yep, like, you little shit.
Yeah, her hands were in her pockets. That's like someone getting killed in the center of town and everybody's standing around watching and a guy's taking a bite into a sandwich. Like, dude, like, come on. Let's give a little bit of something here. Come on. Like, it's just weird. She's just standing there. So you ask these weird questions or you ponder them, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weirdo who thinks these things. Like, why did Michael stalk everybody to the extent that he did? And I think the biggest standout is Tommy Doyle. Like, watching him with the kids and then bumping into Lonnie and then getting into a car and just driving alongside of him.
Tommy was standing on the sidewalk outside of his house when Lori went up to drop the key off. Maybe he, recognized him there, and he's like, he might go where she goes. I don't know, but...
Oh, that's a good point.
Or maybe he saw himself in Tommy. They do kind of look similar. Tommy kind of looks like young Michael, right?
See, I always thought that he saw himself in Tommy. Always.
Oh, maybe he does. And maybe he was, he was only 6, but I was going to say maybe he had a Lonnie that bullied him and when he saw what they did to him with the pumpkin or whatever, maybe it fascinated him. But I don't know. How long was he waiting in that closet for Bob? Not knowing that anybody was going to come open that closet,
Yeah, they're having sex. Why would you wait down there? Why wouldn't you go up there and do a double impalement kill or something? Like, it's very strange. But there's a lot of stalking and observation, like endlessly staring at Annie in the Wallace house between the spilling the butter, the phone call, standing in that big doorway, standing in the other one where he drops the plant so she knows someone's out there. He wanted to evoke fear in her. And the strange thing is he didn't. She really has no reaction to that flower pot smashing. Like, she looks over and then kind of squints and is over it. And then, immediately after this happens, within seconds, the dog is barking from that same area that you heard this. And all you say is, come get your dog, he's annoying me. And then when he goes, arr, 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 you go, never mind, I guess he found a hot date. Like, honey, are you stupid?
She might be. I don't know.
There's like 50 red flags here.
Maybe they thought it was just typical Halloween stuff, like with those sounds, people making noises and stuff like that they were a little less on alert.
That's true too.
Yeah, and like if she thought kids were vandalizing her house for mischief night, she probably thought, well, it's not my house.
But it wouldn't. Yeah. They wouldn't have been though. That was Devil's Night was the night before.
Oh yeah.
Or mischief night.
Right.
I don't know, depending on where you are, but
right, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of observing and a lot of stalking, and I wonder what he couldn't have been observing his prey to better get them, right? I mean, it's not that complicated.
There's so many people that say like, oh, it's a sexual thing for him and all that stuff, and it's like, if you put yourself in that kind of situation, like, you're never just like, push for you, push for me, we're done. Like, some people like really, really like making it a long process and all that stuff. Like at least 6 minutes. No, I'm just, but
or it's like foreplay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something to where it's like he would do himself a disservice if he just, jumped in while they were screwing and stabbed them both right then and there. Like, I think it's like a little more calculated, a little bit more of that kind of fun, artful game if he like elongates it a little bit.
No, I think you nailed it with game. I think that he, just like we were talking about him being artistic with his stuff earlier and, being a little mischievous, like with the ghost costume. Maybe because seriously, he went to the linen closet, pulled out a sheet, cut some holes, took Bob's glasses, and he's like, this is going to be great. But maybe it all just is a game to him, and it's I don't know.
Like, this is his way of playing with the other kids.
Yeah, like maybe he's like edging himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it to be over that quick.
No,
exactly.
I always got to back off. I'm having too much fun here.
Do you think just like after we all come and we see the porn still playing on our phone, we're like, oh my god, it's disgusting. Do you think he's that way after the kill's done?
When I was a kid, when I was like a teenager, when I was done, I used to take the VHS out of the thing and throw it in the corner, be like, this is disgusting. Oh my god. And then the next day I was like, are you okay? I'm sorry.
There was a guy that I dated for a while that after I couldn't even stand to look at him. I was just like, I don't want to it didn't last that long. I mean, the relationship didn't last that long. But it's like, you know, when you're in that, it's so bizarre. But when you're in that heightened sense, that pre-orgasm, you know, everything is amazing. Everything feels good. Everything is, you know, it's just like, and you'll do anything. You'll try anything, you know, because you're just in that, well, maybe not anything, but, you know, you're just in that mode. But then, like, once it's over, you're like, ugh, like, I don't want like, not necessarily that bad. But what you said about the porn on your phone, I think that is, like, that's the perfect way to describe it. You know,
he gets done stabbing people and he's like, ugh, like, get out of here. But, like, I guess he really doesn't. He admires his work.
Yeah. Hey, do you think Lindsay's parents would be okay with the fact that her babysitter just dropped their child off at another house with a different high school kid?
The 70s.
Yeah, the 70s, man.
They probably would be more, because, like, Lori was probably the babysitter they wanted. They settled.
Yeah, because they knew she was watching Tommy.
Or settled for Annie, and they were like, "Oh, cool." They're like, if we get with Annie, there's still a shot that we can, like, get Lori to be our babysitter.
Yeah, I mean, look at Lori being, like she said, the good Girl Scout comes through again, boy. I guess I want to save, like, the end of this for the end. Everything. Basically from Lori walking across the street and the rest. So, do you guys have anything to say about anything prior to that?
The cat and mouse with Lumis and Michael, I always thought was funny. Like, when Lumis is standing there and Michael just drives right behind him. Like, it looks like such a Looney Tunes moment. Like,
yeah, he's all, where is he? Where is he? He's right behind you.
That sneaky bastard.
And even, like, Michael driving, following those girls, like, dude, stay a block or two behind them. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, you're like...
When I watched this movie when I was young, I remember paying so much attention, probably more than I should have, to when Michael's driving after he runs into Tommy and he's sort of following him or whatever. I always thought, because, like, I always watch Michael's, like, left hand while he's driving it. He looks so natural driving. Like you would think he really was driving for years. Like he's not 2 and 10 in it. Like, if you watch, he's just like, it seems like he's got one hand, he's got, like, the thumb relaxed, and he's just like.
he has the one hand on at 12 o'clock, the other hand's, like, leaned out the window. He's like he's like pumping music. He's like, yeah.
He's driving with his knees. He's
texting.
He's been in the penitentiary for, like, 15 years or whatever. He's probably like, damn, this has power steering and all this stuff.
Yeah, this stuff's great. My dad's car didn't have any. He had racket peanut steering.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. When did he go in? 1963? 1963, they didn't even have air conditioning, except you could get an air conditioner for some cars, but it was an extra thing, and it was huge. So, yeah, I mean, he's in a car in 78. He's like, man, this is sweet.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
Plus, they were huge.
The front of those cars, from the windshield to the headlights, it was like 8 feet of car. I was like, what are these things? I did observe this time around. Did you notice? Damn, I wish I thought of, like exactly what happens, but I think it's the two girls driving. There's a point where you see them drive away towards sort of like the upper right of the screen or something. And you see him following Annie and Lori. And you see Annie put the blinker on to make a right. And Michael doesn't use a blinker.
Oh, I never noticed that.
And I thought that spoke volumes, because that is perfect. Michael is not a driver of any, like you said, comfort zone of any way. Him putting a blinker on would have been preposterous. So the fact that they actually paid attention to that detail, and he just didn't do that, and it's not because he's from New Jersey. He just didn't do it because... Kidding. No, but
Or Michigan.
Yeah, but they don't use blinkers there either. Okay, but that is such a great little detail to put there. But I just want to put, not that this is life changing.
One thing I've always wondered about his escape, like we don't, when Rob Zombie did it, he killed a bunch of people and made a big mess. Okay, as far as we know, he didn't hurt anyone at the hospital. Like I had never heard anyone say that he hurt anyone. Yeah. But he also, all the other prisoners were just patients were just wandering around. Like, did he just go through and unlock everybody's door? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think he created mass panic. That way it would be easier for him to slip away.
So he could get away.
Yeah.
Ah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow, talk about Occam's razor. No, that's fine. I can't believe I never put that together.
Oh, yeah.
I was just always like, maybe he got out. He felt bad for all of them, so let them out too. But
he's like Shawshank.
Like in a movie about a dog escaping from the pound, they'll always let all the other dogs out. I don't know, but yeah, that makes total sense. And I'm a dumbass. Thank you very much.
No, the best time to escape is during a prison riot, right? Maybe. I mean,
absolutely, yeah. Also during a rainstorm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How lucky were they when they made this movie on the low budget that they were able to shoot that scene when it was raining and stuff like that? Because they shot it in California, and I was thinking about that when I was watching this the other night. Like, they got so lucky on that it just worked that way, because the mood of that scene is fantastic with the rain and with them traveling in it and all that stuff.
Oh, it's brilliant.
No, it is. Yeah, and you're right. You rarely get, especially torrential downpours like that in California.
Yeah.
And Lumis is already from jump. I mean, he is dishing it out, man. He's like, never, never, never. It. Do you think we can refer to it as him? If you say so. Like, right away, you're set up to think, what has happened in these 15 years?
You ever done anything like this before?
Only minimum security.
I see. The driveway's a few hundred yards up on the right.
The only thing that ever bothers me is their gibberish. When they start raving on and on and on.
You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
Are there any special instructions?
Just try to understand what we're dealing with here. Don't underestimate it.
Don't you think we could refer to it as him?
If you say so.
The compassion's overwhelming, Doctor. What do I give him when we take him in front of the judge?
Thorazine.
He'll barely be able to sit up.
That's the idea.
You're serious about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You mean you actually never want him to get out?
Never.
Then why are we taking him up to Hardin County if you're just going to walk?
Because that is the law. Here we are.
What went on in those 15 or 8 years, whatever the first were, right? And then it's like, but he didn't move, he didn't say a word, he didn't do anything.
Like, did he spend 8 hours a day trying to talk to him, like, for all these years? Like,
he's like, Michael, you gotta say something. You gotta give me something here. I mean, it's been like 3 years. I mean, do you have anything to say about this?
Like, he's coming in, he's trying to bribe Michael, like, with food and say, I got this pizza. Too bad I gotta eat it on my own.
Wow, Chuck E. Cheese sounds fun right about now, eh, Michael? It's an hour away.
Of course, Aaron's gonna use pizza as a bribe.
Oh, of course. That and what is that? PB crisps. Hey, Michael. When's the last time you had one of these?
Fucking start talking like a motherfucker.
He's like, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so yeah, she was a bitch. I killed her. I don't know. How many do I get?
That's what you get, you fucking bitch.
Oh, yeah, he killed his sister. Imagine when he was done killing his sister, he said, that's what you get, you fucking bitch. That would have been amazing. Michael would be so much cooler if he said that. Oh, God. But, yeah, it's fascinating, and then it almost isn't fascinating, because then he says he didn't do anything. He just stared at the wall. Like, I don't know, I was kind of hoping... And then when you hear things like that, I always think of the dumb shit like, well, did he go to the bathroom? Did he eat? Did he sneeze? Did he get sick? Did he... There's got to be other things.
Did he toot?
Yeah. Did he have to go pee every, 2 hours? Did he drink soda all day? He did something. You can't tell me he just sat there. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what else did he do? On his birthday, did anyone come in there and here's a cake or anything like that?
Yeah, did he blow out the candles at least?
Yeah, I still really want to know. I would give anything for a spinoff movie of just Lumis, and to even know what he was like on the rest of that car ride. Was he only talking about Michael the whole time, or was he talking about anything else to this nurse at all?
They leave and he's talking about Michael. They pull up to where they're going and he's like, and then he just kept staring.
He's like, will you put the goddamn cigarette out or roll down a window?
Can you imagine taking a 2-hour car ride with this asshole and all he's got to talk about is 15 years of a kid staring?
Yeah. Dude, it sounds like you're making a whole lot of something out of nothing here.
He's just, Lumis is secretly really lazy. He just he scored the perfect patient with Michael, but he needed to play off to everybody. Oh yeah, this kid's a handful, so we got
to continue funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of questions here with this guy. And look at Marion. If you pay attention to her, she's smoking, obviously right away. And then she lights another cigarette before they even pull up to the goddamn gate. I think she forgot to put the first one out. And she was already smoking the second one, and the other one was in her other hand. I don't know, it was crazy. Yeah, that was just an amazing moment. Some people point out the cheesy delivery of, he's gone, the evil's gone, he's gone, all that. Yeah, but you know what? It was kind of not fantastic writing. It wasn't really that natural of a line to deliver, so I think he did pretty good.
I just wish he would have been damn son of a bitch had a wrench.
Yeah, do you see that? He had a wrench in his hand when it smashes the window. It's funny, when I was younger, I used to, because, remember, as things got better technology-wise, to 4K, DVD, whatever, I used to think that was a round rubber, plunger thing that when he hit, it just didn't hurt him.
Yeah, I never even noticed it. I never noticed it until Blu-ray, and then it was pointed out, in a commentary somewhere or something.
I didn't notice it until Blu-ray, DVD era and all that stuff, because I had it on VHS and
it just looked like a round rubber thing, didn't it?
I didn't even think it was a round. I thought it was just a weird light reflection or something like that. That's what it always looked like to me, but it's so clear on the Blu-ray.
Oh, God,
it's definitely, yeah. Hell, that's a 3/4.
I mean, I think the whole time I was looking at Marion, I don't even think I ever even looked at his hand.
Wow. So, did you notice the kids skipping the Wallace house, even though there was a big jack-o'-lantern on the front porch on Halloween night? When Michael walks up to that tree, and then the parents are like, all right, well, get her to bed by 9 or whatever, a bunch of kids walk right past the house and they're trick-or-treating.
Maybe they already went the other way and got that house.
Damn it, Jamie, come on, I'm trying to make something. Yeah, maybe.
I don't want to pick it apart too much, because I know there's a little bit of it, but it's very small. But at the prime time of trick-or-treating, the kids in this town, they suck.
Yeah, they never ring anyone's doorbell. Because,
normally it's doorbells are ringing nonstop. I have to hide and pretend I'm not there most of the time, when that's going on.
Don't you think that's strange that they don't have any scenes where either of these homes open the door to any group of kids? What a great opportunity. And I don't think it ever happens in any of these Halloween movies, right? I guess in part 4, sort of. I guess you could say at least they took Jamie trick or treating. But like in Halloween, why wouldn't you have a scene where they're watching TV and you get interrupted by the doorbell ringing, and then you get to see all these cool masks and see Laurie, and then maybe she looks out in a distance and sees like Michael walking in the yard behind the Wallace house or something. Like there's so many things that could have been done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably does boil down to like a big budget thing too. But like, I mean, clearly in 2018 they rectified, because like, I mean, and there's definitely certain areas like in my town, for example, where like people are like, oh, we're going to this neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So like a neighborhood that I live in maybe won't be as like packed and stuff, so people just don't go there. But like, it's one of those things where those neighborhoods that people go to look the way it looked in 2018, like where it's just like a madhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Michael could hardly walk through without bumping into people. He did bump into kids, actually.
Yeah, he didn't kill all of them. He did bump into them.
So this dog thing, real quick. Everybody likes to go after the dog thing.
Especially Michael.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say real quick. I said this in other reviews. The dog, maybe he got hungry. I absolutely think he meant hungry for the bloodlust. He wanted to kill. And I guess that was the first live thing he encountered or something along those lines. I don't think Michael is consuming a raw dog. I don't think he's that far gone.
Raw dog.
You don't think it was a skunk?
Maybe a skunk did.
This isn't a man.
I've never seen a skunk that vicious. I mean,
Maybe it was a skunk.
Our dog encounters skunks all the time because she has no learning curve. Or had no learning curve. She's not with us any longer. But she used to always run into skunks. They never did anything vicious. They just always sprayed her. I would have preferred if they tried to whoop her ass, because at least then I wouldn't have to bathe her in peroxide.
Yeah, they're not going to rip her belly open. Do you guys disagree with that? Do you actually think he consumed this thing?
I never thought about it till then, but I kind of always thought he consumed it. I always thought he ate it.
But why would he? He lived a pretty civilized life. He was in a mental institution for 15 years. He's not like a savage.
I mean, if the fucking food at the mental institution is anything like at a hospital, the best thing's the Jell-O. Like, he probably just was like craving something normal. No, I actually don't know. Like, I always thought it was one of those things like he ate dog, and Lumis said he got hungry, and it was a thing to show him he's like, we're not dealing with a man, like kind of deal. But then again, he didn't just go like, because like when he killed the fucking Wallace dog, he didn't just bite and like dig in afterwards. So yeah, you're probably right. He probably did just kill him. Takes off the mask. All right,
dude, how hilarious would it be if when the dog's legs came down, he heard and you just heard him chewing for the next like 2 minutes. Oh my god, so dumb.
I don't know what did that hobo feed him in Halloween 5?
Hot dog meat. Oh. I'm just kidding. It's always got to be a dog related.
Soup.
Yeah.
Well, see, what I assume that in Halloween 5, oh god, I hate that movie. But I assume that
does anyone like it?
I don't know. I don't think I know anyone.
You said, does anyone? I don't think anybody likes that movie.
But he was dormant, like, right? Didn't he? On Halloween when he got up and killed the guy, wasn't that like the first time he was conscious?
I believe. Yeah, I don't think he ever woke up between the 2 days.
Yeah, I think what they were going for is that he was dormant until Halloween, like from Halloween to Halloween.
Yeah. I always thought he was getting, like, the dude just kind of nursed him for a year and was like, I'll wake up eventually. Like,
yeah, I think he did as much as he did in the Smith's Grove. Nothing, right? He just laid there.
And I do think it was incredibly rude of him to kill that man. But
yeah, he's like, thanks for helping me for the past year. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
So do you guys think that Michael, like, going back to him killing his sister, because I've always liked the idea that he had a very normal childhood and relationship, and like with the sister even and all that stuff, and just had a very normal family dynamic. I don't like to think that, like, we were talking about earlier, like maybe the boyfriend picked on him for this or that. I don't like to think of the Rob Zombie thing where they had like the crappy stepdad and the all the other stuff and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like to think of that. I don't think that was the case. I think you could tell by the look of the parents, the look of the house. It was a nice house. They had apples in the bowl on the table. I mean, they weren't like animals or anything. They seemed pretty sophisticated, nice people. They were done up nice. The parents were out somewhere nice. Came home. I don't know.
Well, even the way like his sister says Michael somewhere like seemed like pretty pleasant. As funny as that sounds, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just because he killed 2 dogs in one movie doesn't mean he had a wild childhood. 2 dogs. He killed 2 dogs. That's so weird.
Yeah.
They never mention that, and when
Jason's
they talk
never
about
killed a dog.
Yeah, they never mention that Michael kills dogs when they talk about his kill count and all that.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, and there's 2.
There's more.
Yeah, well, yeah, it becomes more. Thank God they didn't do that in Halloween too. Thank God they just were like, no way, we're not doing that. So, have you guys seen anything about the Halloween TV cut?
Mm-hmm.
So they shot scenes for TV because when they play things on TV, they have to fill the full 2 hours between cutting down parts of the movie. It didn't fit that even with a ton of commercials. So they convinced John Carpenter to shoot extra scenes while he was shooting Halloween 2 when he was doing like those scenes that Rick Rosenthal didn't do.
Yeah.
They chose Lumis, and when he's trying to keep him locked up, saying he's not ready, he shouldn't be out, he's not ready, he's not good to leave, to minimum security or whatever they were doing. And then they made a scene where Michael walked in Smith's Grove while he's a kid staring at the window, and he says, "You fooled them all, haven't you, Michael?" Then you got a scene where Michael trashes his room and writes "sister" on the door, and that's obviously just John Carpenter just tying up loose ends to the new changes he made in his next movie. Then there's the scene where, like, Linda says she saw Michael, because that's interesting. Linda's about the only person Michael didn't stalk.
Yes.
So it's weird that they said, well, that can't happen. He stalked Tommy, he stalked Annie, Lori, obviously, but no Linda. For some reason, Michael had zero interest in her.
I'll give you a small bit of horror trivia. Do you know on that scene? I'd read this years ago, so if there's a fact checker out there, like someone might fact check this to know that this is true. But that scene that they shot with Linda and Lori there for that TV cut was shot inside the actual interior of the Elm Street house.
Oh, wow.
Oh, whoa. You mean the part where they're talking about the shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember reading that they actually shot that in the interior of the Elm Street house, which, like, if you've ever been out that way, it makes total sense because, like, you could walk right from Haddonfield, like, where the Wallace house and the Doyle house is.
Oh, to it?
Like, yeah, to it pretty easily. Like, I mean, they're probably within half a mile of each other.
And you could also walk to Pee-wee's house.
Yeah. Yeah, and a bunch of those movie houses are, like, within walking vicinity and distances from each other.
I'm so glad you said this. Do you know that Wallace house is in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield?
I think I did know that. You might have been the one to tell me that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I might have. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Why do they keep going to this area? Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Back to School, Halloween, Nightmare. It's like so many movies keep something about that Pasadena. People really...
It has that middle America look. I mean,
it can be anywhere, pretty much. There's that set, that neighborhood set that they used in Fright Night. That set is in so many 80s movies that, like, if you watch Fright Night and then I forget what the other movie I watched right behind it just by chance,
The Burbs?
it was like maybe it might have been. But it was like 2 houses down from the house that Charlie lived in Fright Night. And I was like, whoa. It was really surreal. But if you ever watch Sean Clark, he does Horror's Hallowed Grounds.
Oh, yeah.
you learn so much stuff when he does filming locations about things that were used in multiple movies, and how they use the inside of this house but the outside of this house,
right.
And like, it's so cool. I love that shit. One
amazing one Sean Clark pointed out was that the Wallace house, when you walk in the front door, there's nothing to the right of that house. You could see that from the outside. Yet when Linda goes in that house, her and Bob go to the right and lay on the couch.
Yeah, that huge living room area.
Yeah, that's not there. And the other cool thing is...
never paid attention.
The scene where Laurie is throwing the flower pot at the house and trying to get in, the doorknob is on the right, but when Tommy opens it, it's on his right.
His right, yeah. That I did notice.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. So these TV cutscenes, do you think it's... I mean, I guess they didn't make terrible choices, but wouldn't you have liked to see, like, other things filled in blanks, like, that were off-screen in Halloween? Like, maybe Michael getting his mask, like, when he broke into the hardware store, or, like, when he got his jumpsuit and he killed the garage guy, or, like, him stealing the tombstone? Or, I know they never do that. But, like...
I want to hear the end of that story.
Oh, yeah, maybe Charlie Bowles.
I would have loved to see Michael still.
And he sees, like, it takes 45 minutes. He's so tired, he's leaning over the tombstone. He's like, oh, Christ.
He lays on the ground, face flat, like...
And then he's, like, walking through town with the
Yeah, with it.
With it, like, on his back. Just, like...
Yeah, like, what did he do? Get, like, like those red wagons that kids used to play in? Did he, like, put it in there and just walk into the house?
I like to think he took the tombstone and then, like, took it with him to the hardware store, and, like, that's how he broke in.
Yeah, he banged it against the window and just got in. Him dressing up in the ghost sheet, like Bob. Like, there's so many things that you just would like to see that they didn't attempt with that.
Who buys their Halloween masks at a hardware store? Have you ever done that?
No.
I haven't either.
Yeah, just Michael.
I'd like to think that, like, the Halloween masks, like, do you remember the shitty masks that Dr. Chalice gives his kids in Halloween?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, face
that would be something that I feel like they would sell at a hardware store, like...
Yeah, not that nice William Shatner mask.
Yeah.
I wonder if Michael was a Star Trek fan. When was he locked up?
63.
What would you be going as if you had that Halloween mask? Because I guess Ben Tramer got the same one, right? So... You're something. Like, what are you dressed as if you took that mask out of a hardware store or whatever? Like,
I always wondered that. Like, what was this mass-produced mask supposed to be?
Yeah, what did Ben Tramer tell his friends he was?
Maybe they were going as that guy from Scooby-Doo, the one who you always see him in the opening credits. Oh, yeah. He's like standing by the barrel.
Right.
He always reminded me, when I was a kid, I always thought that was supposed to be Michael Myers.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
But... yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Unless maybe it's a blank mask that you're supposed to decorate.
Yeah.
Because they do have those. You can decorate them however, like paint them or whatever. Maybe it's something like that. But yeah, I have no idea. Or maybe he's a big fan of Devil's Reign, because that exact mask is worn by, well, not the exact one, but... that same mask is worn by William Shatner in Devil's Reign. Now, I don't know if it's the same mold or anything like that, but I mean, it's his face. How varied would it be? But if you ever watched The Devil's Reign, which was from, I think, 1971, could be 71 or 75.
75.
Was it 75?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a, like his... the devil people, they have no eyes, and then later on their faces melt. And there's the mask that William Shatner is wearing looks exactly like the Halloween mask, only it's not white, it's flesh colored, but
it's natural color.
Yeah, but it looks the same.
Yeah, it's wild. So as far as Michael's look, we talked that his hair looks pretty cool, the way it's like ripped off the sides. I like the white. It's not like a flat white like Halloween 4. It actually has texture to it, and it looks nice. But I will say this. I hate to say something bad about the movie.
We have to.
We have to. That mask doesn't look that great in every shot. There's a couple shots stuck out to me as like, ugh. And two of them are with Annie, and it makes me wonder if somebody else wore the mask for those scenes and stretched it out wrong. Because if you look at Michael when she's doing the laundry behind like the curtain on the door, his mask does not look good. It's like somebody with a longer face is wearing it. And I feel like I kind of got that vibe when she's in the kitchen also.
Huh. I never paid attention.
Yeah, I hope I didn't ruin it for anybody, but yeah.
Well, I know Nick Castle he had a real long face.
I know. Who could have a longer face? How could anybody have worked it?
Well, and you know, when Dick Warlock wore it in Halloween 2, it was rounder and wider because same mask, but they just shoved it over his face, which his head is a little rounder and wider, and that always bothers me. Right. I love Halloween 2. I absolutely love it. Even with the whole sister thing, but it to me is very obvious that it isn't the same.
Yeah, and if you've wore one of those masks, like one of the legit ones that are like pulled from like a Kirk mold or whatever, they are small. I mean, they're small because it was supposed to be a kid's mask. In fact, Alex, that one I sent you, that I mailed you, that we did in the little short film.
Yeah, I wear it every year.
That one, I had to tape the mouth back because the guy that was wearing it in our short film,
I saw it broke.
Yeah, it was so small on him that it ended up breaking right there. So like before I'd sent it off to you, I think we put pieces of tape in there to finish out the filming.
Yeah, no, I cut my cheek. Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. No, I wear that every year when I do because it's better than the one I had. So, and I figured I'll tribute Aaron while I'm doing my Halloween thing. I bring our worlds together.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, yeah. I wear it every year now.
I'm not afraid. Bull. I'm not. Then go in. Chicken. Go ahead, Lonnie. Go in!
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Yeah. Nothing's going on except kids playing pranks, trick-or-treating, parking, getting high. I have the feeling that you're way off on this.
You have the wrong feeling.
Well, you're not doing very much to prove me wrong.
What more do you need?
Well, it's going to take more than fancy talk to keep me up all night crawling around these bushes.
I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, staring at a wall, not seeing the wall, looking past the wall, looking at this night, inhumanly patient, waiting for some secret, silent alarm to trigger him off. Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it or you can help me to stop it.
More fancy talk. Doctor, do you know what Haddonfield is? Families, children, all lined up in rows up and down these streets. You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse?
They could be.
All right, I'll stay with you tonight. Just in the chance that you're right. And if you are right, damn you for letting him go.
Yeah, so we pretty much tackled everything here. So I guess it's time for the final act. Michael, we talked about him. Well, we didn't go into depth, but he killed Linda, the telephone cord. Interesting that Lori was there to listen to it and thought she was just like having sex or something. And then she had Annie's famous chewing, now your famous squealing. So that was a nice tie-in. It was all flowing pretty well. We got a lot of Lumisisms throughout. Him hanging by the Myers house for way too long. All that kind of good stuff. So now we get to Lori coming in. You got the fun house. Like I said, Michael made himself a part of the exhibit. Comes out of that closet in beautiful cinematic fashion. I mean, the way they turned the dimmer up and lit the mask.
And something else you couldn't really see on before high def. Like it just didn't have the same effect. But when you watch it in high definition, or even like if you go to the movies and see it, which I think we've all done at some point, you can definitely, it's so much more impactful when it goes from black to just slowly lighting them up. Like That was so perfect.
Perfect. Dean Cundy is a genius. Yeah, John Carpenter had great people with him. Tommy Lee Wallace, Dean Cundy.
They had a hell of a crew. I love show. Like I said, that is such a experience kind of movie because of those parts exactly. Because like if you can get people to concentrate on it and live in it and not be on their phones or distracted by other things going on, so it's almost like the theatrical experience lends into it. And I'm like you, Alex. I save it till the month of October.
Oh yeah, it's an event for me, man. This is not going to be a movie I watch all year. Hell no.
Yeah.
No, I love the anticipation of watching any of these Halloween movies.
Savor it.
Yeah, savor it. I just don't get it. It's like eating filet mignon every night. Like, pretty soon it's just meat. But if you have it like once every like 4 months, it's amazing. Oddly, he stabs. Do you think he meant to stab Lori and only hit her arm? Did she move or something when he stabbed her? Or was she pretty still when he came down with that knife? Pretty interesting that he was so off target. What do you think? I mean, listen, he's not like a amazing killer or anything. He was locked up for all this time. He's not like so great at it. He didn't have any real challenges yet. He just kind of choked Bob up against the wall, stabbed him. He strangled a girl with a cord, and he reached around and choked a girl. I mean, he's not like some master,
Right, he's clumsy.
Yeah, he's clumsy, yeah. So it's not out of the realm that he would have kind of missed, more or less, and just sliced her arm. She falls down a flight of stairs without going down the stairs. She goes from the top to the bottom. Like, oh my God. So now you add an element of a lame duck on top of it. So now it's like, oh God, not only is he here, not only did he stab her, but now she can't even really run.
That's okay, because neither does he.
There you go.
He moves much faster, though. He moves like at a calculated speed.
And how about the moment when he's walking down the stairs and the bars on the stairs pass through his mask? The lighting of the bars.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Isn't that amazing? That's like setting up a shot, that if there ever was one. That's great. So then you get to the kitchen, and I asked my wife this week, and I said, when she comes in that house, and that door is like open, when she walks through the kitchen or whatever, she closes it. At what point does Michael go and put the rake in the doorknob, and then how does he get back in the house? And she said, at that point, you say something like, he probably has a window open somewhere. He planned this. She got in. He just crawled back in the window. And that's it. And then he went upstairs and went in that closet while she was observing all that stuff. He has to move pretty quick to do that. But, okay, fine. So she tries to get out. She's breaking that window. The way he punches through that door is so animalistic and violent. It's not like a man does it. Did you ever pick up on that? Like, I picked up on that when I was a kid. The way he busts through that door, it's not like a guy would do it. Like, we would first do the shoulder thing a few times, then we'd kind of pound it with the bottom of by the pinky part of our fist, like pounding on it. The way he punches through that door and the way it goes through and he grabs the handle.
He knew he was going to do it. Like, when you or I would do it, like we're talking about, like on the bottom end, like we're kind of like
trying to avoid.
Yeah. He's just he knows it's going to happen.
Right. The sound of the punches, everything, the way it's filmed, amazing, so scary.
It's so tense. From the moment he comes through that door to the moment she gets out the glass door and then running across the street and she's hobbling and this and that, and then the neighbors suck. And then she just keeps going, and he just he's just on it with a purpose. Like, it feels so unsafe.
Can't you hear me?
Oh, no.
I'm going to compliment that whole moment. So, and usually in a movie, let's cite Friday the 13th Part 2. You know what's so great about Jason killing Deputy Winslow with the hammer in the head? What it does is, it takes the protection away from those kids. Because now, the cop who was kind of in the area who could kind of get a handle on things, he's gone now. So it's kind of, although he was like their hindrance in ways, he was also their protection. Like, he even saw Jason and went to the cabin. Like, he was on it, like a bonnet. And when he's killed, that takes away that element. Now they're out in the middle of nowhere with really no one to come and save them. That is a whole element that hopefully everybody picks up on in Friday 2 when that happens. But probably don't. They probably just think of it as like another kill. But that's what you're really supposed to think at that moment. You can't get that here because they're not in the middle of nowhere. They're not at a camp. They're not on a lake. They're not in the middle of Texas, where every house is 2 miles from each other. They're in a residential neighborhood. So the only way to create the feeling of isolation and helplessness is when the neighbors in Haddonfield won't even open their doors to you. So now we have it back again. Now she's helpless again. Now no one's coming to save her again.
I think that also makes it scary because you realize how, people don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
You know, like that woman, I can't ever remember her name. They got killed in New York. The whole reason that they tell you to yell fire if, someone's after you, because that will get people's attention. But there was that woman, I can't remember her name, in New York, that she was being murdered out in the street and everyone heard it and no one did anything.
Regina Fire?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. You said Fire. I was like, maybe they named it after her.
Oh.
Regina Fire.
Why Regina? I don't know. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
But it's, the fact that even in a small town where you typically associate small towns with everyone knowing everybody else and
safety,
all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that element's there. So she gets in the house and then you see the curtain blowing. And then Michael was ducked behind the couch. Knew she was like sitting there, I guess. And this kind of jumped up and stabbed down, missing her again. And then she swings around and stabs him with a knitting needle into his neck. And he is down and out cold. You gotta wonder, why did Laurie's attacks affect Michael so much? Why did the needle in the neck have him out cold until a point? Why did poking him in the eye didn't seem to put him out and down, but then she stabs him in the chest with his knife and he's out cold. Then later, Lumis shoots him, and all he really does is back him up into the doorway of the bedroom where he's standing there like, and then he goes down. And within how long did Lumis go out and check and Michael's gone? Laurie's hits had him just out cold for an amount of time, but 6 bullets didn't have him out much longer.
I think he was playing a game.
Yeah. Let her getting her off guard, maybe. Or Carpenter was trying to get us off guard. You know, like, oh, she did it. She killed him. It's over. And then, no, it's not.
And then watching her drop the knife, you're supposed to shout at the screen like, no, you dumb bitch. Which
I do every year. But,
right.
But I actually saw, there's a reaction channel I watch, and these, girls had watched Halloween, and then they watched Halloween 2, and then where the whole sister reveal comes out, they were like, that's why when she attacked him, he was down for the count for so long. And I really don't think there's anything mystical about it. I really just think that, honestly, I think it was timing by Carpenter, and it was for suspense.
So you think we just have to go with the movie on this one?
That's what I think, but I also like what Aaron said too. Like, he could have been fucking with her,
Well, like they might, because I always looked at it as like it'd be the same game Carpenter's playing with us. So the Carpenter's thought and Michael's thought would be parallel. But I think it's a thing where it like in Michael's long-term thing, like, oh, she feels safe now, but she's not. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's it. I always thought that. I never thought that like he was actually knocked out.
Really?
And all that. Yeah.
I never thought that.
No, I never thought that he was actually knocked out or hurt or anything like that. I mean, because like, I guess, and the reason I probably didn't think that is because, he took 6 bullets and got up and just walked away fine. So I always theorized that, like, oh, he must have just been playing a game with her earlier, which would kind of make sense too when you think about the fact that, like, he literally did, like, wait until she was gone, then get back up. And I mean, the same thing, like, where, and I hate to say this, but Halloween 2 probably also made me think this, when, like, that idiot cop or state trooper or whatever is like, hey, he's dead. And stuff like that. Yep, and Michael just is like, no, I'm not. Like, because it's like,
get away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing to support your argument is that the way Michael gets up when she's not looking at him, like any normal person would be like, oh, God, what the hell just happened? Like, oh man, I was stabbed. God, this hurts or whatever. Michael just sits up like a robot. It's a calculated sitting up. It's not an impulsive reaction human being sitting up. Could be that it was premeditated. Because this whole thing is fun to me. I've set this whole elaborate thing up. And yeah, like you said, I want her to feel like she got me. I used to think that the reason they affected him so much is because he's never been attacked. He's never felt any pain in his life. He's never been stabbed or shot or anything. So he got a needle in his neck. That's a big deal to him at this point of his life. And then he got stabbed in the chest. God only knows how deep, or if it hit that little spot at the bottom of your chest in the middle, that little hole. Maybe it hit that. It was like a big deal to him. And his eye was already all fucked up. So he's like,
oh. Where were you? I went to the Myers house.
I found the car. He's here.
Where?
He's 3 blocks down. You go around the back of the houses. I'll watch the front. Go on!
Why does he stop attacking Lori after she pulls his mask up?
Well, I mean, because what it seems like is that, she pulls his mask up. No, I can't have my face out. I don't really know, but it almost seems to startle him too. Like
he feels like exposed?
Exposed, exactly. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
And that feeling was so jarring to him that he literally took his sights off of what he's doing here.
Yeah, I mean, I think him being behind the mask gives him a sense of comfort in some way, maybe. Because he also was wearing a mask when he, killed his sister originally. So maybe he can't kill if he's not wearing the mask. A mask.
Would it have been like a cooler moment if he's choking Lori and then she lifts her? See, this would have been like a cheesy moment, though. I think they did kind of play it right, because a cheesy moment in a 80s, I guess late 70s, 80s horror movie would be he's choking her and she lifts his mask, and then the audience's attention should be like, dun dun dun, like, and showing his face and zooming into it, and then Lori's eyes getting all wide-eyed as she's looking at him in horror, because you see the fucked up eye and blood coming down from it, and him just continuing to choke her until maybe Lumis says, Michael! And then he stops, and then looks at Lumis, and then Lumis shoots him. And at that point, if that happened, Michael's mask wouldn't have been on when Lumis shot him the next 5 times, and that would have taken away from the whole moment.
That's true.
So
that is very true. He had to put it back on.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have been the same ending. It just wouldn't. How weird would it? Because, think about it, though. This happens all the time. Jason always gets unmasked, and then he's unmasked for the rest of the movie. Like part 4, part 7. Yeah, 8. Like, it's not like they say, no, let's put it back on. You got a glimpse of him. So it's not like it would be unheard of. But imagine if Michael was shot those 6 times without a mask on, and then when they showed him on the floor, you could kind of see his face because it's from a distance. How weird would that have been?
Oh, yeah, would not have had the same effect.
No, I don't think I would have liked it.
No.
Here's a question about the end. How the fuck did Lumis never notice that car when it was right there all night?
Yeah, he's not very, very perceptive. based on the fact that the car was literally right behind with Michael in it, pretty much shouting "fuck you, Lumis."
Yeah. Wouldn't it be so funny if Michael was giving the finger when he drove past the hardware store?
Yeah, I would love to like recreate that, but like, yeah, like I mean, I don't think he's pulling. Like, I don't think it was even Michael pulling a fast one. I just don't think, despite the fact that he had like detective outfit on, I don't think he was much of a detective.
Yeah.
Well, and this too. Okay, so when Lori went to drop off the key at the Myers house, she walked there from her house. And then when they went to babysit, they were driving for a long time. Like, I'm thinking, I thought the town was way smaller than this. How far are you guys going? But
right, because her house is near Michael's then.
yeah. So why then, like, the proximity of all of that doesn't make any sense to me, because he's right there. He hears and sees the kids running out of the house screaming. Where was he when she ran out screaming?
Oh, that's a great point.
Oh, wow.
Like, he was stationed at that house all night long.
Oh, my God, Jamie, you just blew minds and the doors off this movie.
But I'm serious. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, my God.
Maybe he was in the Myers house taking a shit.
Maybe. Was that the part when he was in the car with Brackett or something?
No. He was
Okay, I didn't think so. But
gallivanting around.
I mean, he's been, stationed right there.
Oh,
he
my
told the
God.
kids to get their ass away from there. And then, she comes running out. She's banging on doors. Nothing. But Michael is stalking back and forth across the street.
And it's the middle of the night. You would have heard her screaming. Nothing. There would be no sounds to block it out.
Yeah, but then when the kids come running out and they're screaming, he turns around and can see them right there. They're not even far away.
Well, no, that's not that big of a deal, though, because at that point, he already spotted the car and he started walking towards those houses.
Oh, that's true. But okay, so he finally spotted the car, but that car has been there all night. It's not like Michael went out periodically to move the car so he wouldn't, get a ticket.
Yeah, you never know. I think the street sweeper was coming that day.
You just broke down a barrier that I've never heard anyone mention.
I've never heard this before.
Wow. Cue Buckethead. Like, there it is.
Yeah, we're done.
Like.
Well, I mean, yeah, like John Carpenter, draw me a map. Where I want to understand.
No, it all doesn't make sense. You're right, because if Lori could walk from her house to the Myers house, and then he could walk from the Myers house to the Wallace house and the Doyle house, then why did Lori need to leave her house, sit on a stoop, and get driven to the Doyle house and Wallace house?
Well, the only thing I can say, if like I'm trying to play devil's advocate or stretch, is that maybe they were just fucking like kids did in the 70s. They were like, before we babysit, let's cruise around and smoke some dope and fucking chill and all this shit. And like, maybe they were just cruising for a while and like, and I'll just drop you off because who wants to walk when they're stoned? But the thing that is blowing my mind is you're absolutely right. When Lori was screaming and running around the neighborhood from one end to the other, where the hell was Lumis then? That is the part that gets me like, oh, like,
wow. I think this podcast has changed everything.
Yeah.
I think you could post this question on every Halloween group, and I would love to see but let's not say anything until this show comes out.
Wow, what a shitty movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this movie sucked. Man, I thought it was good. 1.5. Wow.
Hated it.
Yeah, hated it. Yeah, man. I never thought of that. There are so many questions that have been posed tonight.
Jamie, did you just come up with that? Or is that something you've always wondered?
No, that is something that has always bothered me. Because I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Always bothered? You thank God you never did a Halloween podcast before. I got it on my show.
No kidding.
Man. Wow, great.
No, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like,
you're listening to the Skeleton Crew, SKELETON. We were on Horrorbid. We were on Horrorphilia. Now we host our own show. My name is Alex. Remember that? Jamie said this, and we're talking to Aaron Duncan.
History.
History has been made. on October 2023. Wow. Oh, man. What do you say after that? Okay, so yeah, those were cool shots when they showed everywhere they were in the movie.
I actually really like that too.
I love it.
Yeah, and the lighting of each of the sets, because they feel ominous and empty, and like they're showing you where everything happened. You know what happened at each of those places, and that adds to it. But the fact that there's, they're all dark, there's no people are milling around, there's no sound, it's totally empty. It just kind of gives it a foreboding feeling.
And of course, we have to mention that the knife is still sitting next to the couch in one of these shots, instead of upstairs where it should be.
I never noticed that.
Oh wow, yeah, yep.
How about that? I noticed the Lumis thing, but I never
but not the huge knife on the ground, on the carpet. Yeah, what do you know? Yeah, I love it. I love how you're supposed to think, wow, that's where she fell down the stairs. Wow, that's where this. Wow, that's where that. Like, that is so cool to, I think another movie, I remember another movie kind of did something like that where I was like, wow, they're showing you everything you went through in the last 90 minutes. And it really was a lot. And now it happened here way more subtle, I guess, because they didn't. In the movie I'm referring to, I believe they showed little clips of everything that went on. But in this one, it was just
like
where.
Saw? Because James Wan loves doing that.
Oh, maybe it was, because I did watch those recently. Okay, maybe it was, yeah. But yeah, here it's way more subtle because it's just the space where it happened. So it's almost like, it almost feels historical. Like, wow, these are the stairs that Michael walked down after stabbing Laurie Strode, or this is that, yeah. And then the final one, Michael went back to his house. I mean, how brazen is this guy? Like, he escapes, and he doesn't think anybody will check the only place he ever occupied before he was locked up for 15 years. I mean, he gives zero fucks about that. Even after all he did.
He's Michael Myers. He doesn't have to give a fuck.
Right. Even after all he just did, he doesn't care.
It's a different time, man.
Yeah. They weren't tracking his phone. And on that note, I guess we'll rate this. We'll give, I know it's been a long show. Thank you guys.
It doesn't even feel it. Like,
I'm glad you're not feeling it, because we have some things to talk about. No, I was kidding. No, okay, let's at least say our favorite maybe moment, our favorite kill, and then how we rate it. So, Aaron, what is your favorite moment of this movie? What encapsulates Halloween to you?
For me, my favorite moment is when she's running across the street and Michael, just like, you see the figure come out and watching him walk across the street. It's so tense, and just like as he gets closer and closer and closer, like I can feel that every time, by far. As far as favorite kill goes, the Bob kill. I mean, it's so iconic. Like, it's just like, get out of town, hands down.
Yeah, from bursting out of the closet to the very end of his head tilt.
Oh yeah, and as far as rating goes, I mean, for me, this is in my top 3 movies of all time, which they all interchange. And now, Alex, I can officially say I've done a podcast with you on every one of my favorite movies, or my top 3 favorite movies. So,
what are the other 2?
Dazed and Confused, and the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I love that laugh.
She's laughing.
I can tell Jamie no longer takes me serious.
Yeah, she's like, okay, there's your credibility.
No shade. When that movie came out, I went to see it, and I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles watch from Burger King that you would flip up the turtle shell.
I still have that.
And you could... Really?
Yeah, I have it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I think I have mine somewhere, but I was huge into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just loved them. So no, I'm throwing no shade. That was and it was hilarious too, because right around that time, there was a Nightmare movie that came out.
I remember, yeah.
And went to see it, and when the new line thing came up, there was a kid who goes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, oh, no, kid, no.
I was that kid, Jamie. Every time I saw New Line after that, all I thought about were turtles for the rest of my life.
Yeah, poor kid ended up traumatized.
Yeah, by some woman screaming at him. Oh, no. She screamed at the other one where she said, show some respect.
That was The Exorcist.
Exorcist, yeah.
Oh, I know. You know what's crazy is I've been such a avid Crew listener for all these years that I know all these stories and I love it. It's so crazy.
I know. I need to get new stories.
She's like been hawking the same ones for like 10
I have.
Years.
Oh my God.
Everybody knows all my stories, and it's just I'll be on some random podcast, that I've never been on before, and I'll start to tell a story, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know that one," and I'm like,
She's like, you know the one about the ghost in the bathroom? Yeah, I know that one too. Oh, really? Jesus.
My girlfriend always is like, you always tell the same stories in this over and over again, like, because I do, and I don't realize I just get real excited when I'm telling them, and so like she'll be like, oh, you can be kind of repetitive, and so now every time she does it, I'm like, you're always repetitive. You always say I'm telling the same story.
Yeah, you're a gaslighter.
Yeah, but
you know what though, Aaron, I have to tell you that actually means a lot to me, that you not only know the stories, but you don't get pissed off about having to hear them again.
Oh, no. I feel like I'm a part of the crew.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Dude, this is one of my favorite shows of all time, and thank you for stepping in. If I know a lot of people are probably wondering, we didn't give you a big build-up or anything, because to me, this is totally natural for me. I mean, the listeners, though, we have cited, me and Aaron, that he's never been on a Skeleton Crew show. I mean, you should know from the Scream show. If you listen, you should be listening to Bare Bones. I mean, it's just an extension of Skeleton Crew. But so he was there and all that. But he knows us. People who are really into the Skeleton Crew should know you, because you were on plenty of Cut to the Chase episodes. And if they were into Skeleton Crew, they were into Dan, and that's his show. And then you were in plenty of Married with Children episodes with us. So I've actually podcasted with Aaron like 15 times.
Oh yeah, it's strange actually thinking about it, because I never have been on a Skeleton Crew podcast. So basically, I think I got into you guys right before Jamie joined, around the Michael J era kind of deal. Right before, and my buddy was showing me podcasts. I used to have a job where all I did was drive, and so I wanted to just find podcasts online and see what was out there and all that stuff. And I think I found you guys maybe YouTube, but at the time I didn't have Facebook or anything like that, so I was strictly just listening and wasn't like someone that was in the groups. And so I know at one point or another I had Facebook for a little bit, activated it, got a little more involved in some of the Skeleton Crew like group stuff, and then you and I just became friends.
Well, you started leaving messages too, remember? The 5-year thing, I think?
Yeah. I would start leaving messages or video messages and all that stuff, and we just became friends in the process, and it felt very natural. But it is kind of odd that like this was the show that got me introduced to you, and like this is the first time I've actually...
You've been on everyone but this.
Yeah, I've been on everyone but this, so it's kind of ironic. But back to the lecture at hand. 5. This freaking movie's a 5 for me. I mean, it's a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. It's my favorite of all time. This podcast has gone on forever. And like one topic I wanted to talk about, and we can give you ratings if you want, or is like, do you guys remember where you were the first time you seen it?
Oh yeah. Well, I know mine. I just told the story on my last Bare Bones, but.
Well, tell it again. People don't seem to mind.
Well, the first time, I definitely watched this when I was young. I was telling this whole journey of, like, why I used to say the stupid line that I got into horror when I was, like, 20, even though I cited, like, 100 times how that's not true. Because how could I have watched Jason endlessly at 11 years old? How could I have snuck into Jason Takes Manhattan? How could I have got into all the classic Universals and made interviews with my grandmother when I was 13 years old, if that was true? So it's obviously not true. And what I was saying on the last Bare Bones is that what I was trying to give props to in saying that was that Halloween is the movie that changed the course of my life. So like around 99, 2000, I brought these 2 tapes home and I sat on the floor of my bedroom, propped up against the bed, and put on Halloween 1, watched it straight through uninterrupted. And I don't know what I thought at the moment, but I know I immediately wanted to watch Halloween 2. I watched that. And when that was done, I said, I don't think I'm ever going to be the same from this day forward. Like, this is everything I ever wanted in life. This is who I am. I need more of this. This is something. Like, and I just knew from that point that I have a whole new found love for horror and a whole new avenue that I'm going to be on. And from there, I had to have every Friday the 13th. I had to have every Halloween. I had to have every Texas Chainsaw. I already had all the Freddys, which I bought in the mid-90s. Since that shows, again, I lied about saying I'd gotten horror in 2000. But those didn't strike me. Those didn't change the course of my life. Halloween did. And when I saw these, I just knew I watched something amazing. I just knew I watched something that I is different, and that is who I am.
In Samuel's writing, fate is immovable like a mountain. It stands where man passes away. Fate never changes. And
so that moment, luckily, it's not like a kid moment, or like I did watch it with my friends when I was 12 or whatever, but everybody was talking. Nobody paid attention. All they cared about was the music and Michael's mask or something. But like I had my own little moment when I was 19, 20. So, and it's, older, so I could really remember how I took that in and the moment, how it changed me. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now without this movie. So how strange that I'd never reviewed it in all these years. But wow, this was a magical night for me. Having you two here, one of my best friends, Jamie, another best friend, and someone who's taken this podcast journey with me for 11 seasons. It's everything to me. Yeah, this, I can't believe it took, but I'm happy it's happening now in another way too, It's beautiful. Yeah. It's not like I'm like bummed out. We just did it and it was great and I loved it. Meant to happen this way. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in fate.
Mm-hmm. It's immovable.
Fate never changes.
It doesn't. This is how it was supposed to go down.
And that's what he said about fate. Now you're quoting that movie or the Halloween. Oh, yeah.
First time I watched it, I honestly don't know. I saw part 2 and part 3 in the theater.
Wow.
But I had already seen Halloween by the time part 2 came out because I knew what it was, but I don't know. I assume I watched it on HBO or something when I was a kid. I have no idea. It was always there. It was just always there. And then I remember I would watch it every year on Halloween, and it would come on TV. So I was really familiar with the TV cuts of both this and Halloween 2 before I, bought copies of them years and years later.
Right.
And then I was very surprised about the scenes that were missing. I was like, wait a minute, am I going crazy? Because I know there was a scene where they were talking about this blouse. Or as far as a rating is concerned, it's a straight up 5. This film is pretty much perfect. I really don't think there's anything I would change about it. And even though the Halloween franchise is not my favorite franchise, the original Halloween film is, it's a fantastic film. Now, I have said before that if somebody just straight up asked me which one I would prefer to watch, I'll often go to 2 because it's more slashery. And I love slashers. So that one to me is fun. It's got nudity. It's got gore. It's got, it's closer to what you get with a Friday film. So that one I love for the fun of it. But as far as an actually well-made film, very few top this one.
Yeah, my favorite kill, Bob, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. What else would you say? Annie, a choke around, a reach around choke. Telephone, that's pretty iconic, I guess. Especially if you add in the setup with Bob. But you have to really buy into that. Like, would Michael do that? Why would he do that? But I guess he would if he did everything else. Again, it's one of those things people want to ignore and not think about and not explore. So we're just going to act like it's not a big deal. So my favorite moment, and I guess two are tied. One is just simply Laurie walking across the street at night and that music playing. That, to me, something that always struck me about that. It's like a beautiful moment. It's like a beautiful tragedy kind of moment. She has no idea what's in store for her. She has no idea what's going on. And then the other one is simply what I think is just the most badass moment ever.
I'm gonna take a little walk.
With the boogeyman. I'm scared.
There's nothing to be scared of.
Are you sure? How?
I killed him.
You can't kill the boogeyman.
Get in there, come on, Tommy. Now lock the door.
Then they look up, and there the fuck he is. And he just looks like a fucking maniac, psychopathic killer in this scary as fuck white mask. The way he's hunched over, the way his eyes look so hollowed out, the way his knife is facing them, and the way he's like kind of staggering up those stairs. There is something, and the way the kids scream and dart into different rooms, and she goes, there's just something about that moment that is so dark and so just something captured that is everything you want captured in a horror film, and it encapsulates anything I've ever wanted to feel. That moment is what I've always wanted to feel in a horror film. Historically in the Skeleton Crew, I've made some weird comments. I had some moments where I didn't embrace this movie. Like, I didn't even put it in my top 10 show. I've said things like Halloween 2 is I like that more and stuff like that. I don't know what I was going through at the time. I was just like fighting the grain in myself or something. I don't know. I always just try to like not put this there because I guess you just hear it all the time. And maybe it's like one of those reactionary things where you don't just want to sound like everyone else. I don't know. But it is the movie that changed the course of my entire life. I'm so grateful for it. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know you two without this movie.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that would be so sad to me to know that you guys aren't in my life. And how could I ever live like that? It's just not. It's just who I am. It's made me who I am, honestly. So, no, this is a straight up 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
The iconic classic. Yeah, it's a Hall of Famer. 5 5s. 3 5s.
If we had 2 more people, I'm sure they'd give it a 5 too.
They would.
Oh, my God. She wouldn't let that just go. And I was going to edit that out, too.
Oh, well, you can't.
I'm just kidding. No, it's great that you did that. If we had 2 more people, I'm sure they would say that. Yeah, but thank you for hopping on. Thanks for making this happen, Aaron. It's been great. You were awesome on the show. You really brought it. I wanted this to be like one of the best Skeleton Crew shows ever since its conception like 3 weeks ago. I just really wanted this to be something, and you guys made that a fruition. So thank you.
Dude, thank you. This is my favorite podcast, and I got to do my favorite movie of all time with some of my favorite people. Yeah, thank you for having me, man. This is a dream come true for sure.
Yeah, I was really excited, and I was not disappointed. I had a really great time. I always have a great time with Aaron, though. Like, whenever we get, which is not often enough, but whenever we do get to hang out and chat about stuff, it's always fun.
Yeah, we got to do it more, guys. My schedule will be clear after Halloween totally, so let's do a few more together for sure.
Yeah, I'll bang a few out in November with you, whatever.
Let's do it, man.
And we also got to get the ghoul under your bed. He wants to be on the show, too. He hasn't been on since we did that great Ghost Stories show.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Him and Jay Courthouse?
Yes, I do.
Yep. So we're going to do that, too. So, Ghoul, don't worry, brother.
Did I ever tell you about that ghost in the bathroom?
You can tell us again. Nobody minds. People are like jumping in someone's car. Hey, what is this you're listening to? Another one of Jamie's stories. She told it on episode 13, 42, and 95. Oh, God. All right. Well, happy Halloween, everyone. Wow, Skeleton Crew show in October of 2023. Holy crap. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
One more day till Halloween. Halloween. Halloween.
Stop it!
Yeah, and he's not kidding. He wants me to stop singing that. Later, guys.
Bye.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Oh, okay, thanks.